Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Hello and good afternoon. We welcome you all in another IEEE session. My name is Rashid and I am working as Senior Manager Admin and Trainings at A&J DevTech Consultants. We, A&J DevTech Consultants, are local partners for IEEE covering Pakistan. Our trainer for today's session is Mr. Alex Liu Yuping, who is IEEE's Manager Client Services for Asia. In the panelists, I have my other colleagues from A&J. Today is the fourth session of the series of 8 sessions being scheduled by IEEE and A&J DevTech Consultants for Pakistani researchers. And the topic of today's session is preparing your research paper for publication and IEEE perspective. Now, without wasting any time, I am inviting Mr. Alex to start the session with his presentation and live demonstration afterwards. Let me make him the co-host so he can share his screen. Yes, over to you, Alex.
Thank you, Mr. Rashid. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining today's sharing session. Another session organized by A&G and delivered by IEEE. Today's topic is preparing your manuscript for preparation. Just give me 1 minute while I load my PowerPoint. The topic is on preparing the manuscript. Now, I understand from our audience, we have a big group of audience that are interested in publishing. Yes, I know. But today, we are not talking about publishing. We are just talking about preparing the paper. We're not talking about submission. We're not talking about peer review. We're not talking about paper rejections, editor's comments, reviewer's comments. No, we are just talking about preparing the paper, which means the report that you have summarized from your research. Throughout the session, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. I have only one humble request regarding the question, which is it has to be related to today's topic. For example, if you want to know how does the peer review process works, you want to know why your paper is rejected, that, once again, is not covered in today's session. Today, we are only talking about preparing your paper. The paper is in your hand. We are talking about the structure of the paper. We are talking about the components of the paper. We are talking about what is required for you to prepare to write your paper according to the journals or conference requirement. That's it. All right. Keep your question related to what we are sharing today. Some of us might be saying, hey, Alex, I want to know about peer review. I want to know about why paper is rejected. Yes, we understand. Don't worry. Our future sessions, we will be having dedicated sessions to talk about paper submission process. And in that process, in that session, we will be talking about how you submit the paper, how does the peer review process works, what are the things that editors are looking for. All right. One simple request. And as I can see, there's one, I will say this is a question which is to show you as a bad example, which is from one of the comments. Please cover paper submission rejection topics. Yes, and he specifically mentioned in next session. Yes, we will be having it in the next session. Thank you so much. Now, let's start with the preparation. Now, before we're talking about the preparation, I'm not talking about the preparation of your paper. I'm talking about the preparation for you to make today's session useful. What do I mean by that? So for example, let's say you are an undergraduate student. You are currently doing your undergraduate studies. Do you need to write a paper for submission to a journal if you are doing your year 3 or year 4? My answer is no. I know. Most of the universities does not require the undergraduate students to write a paper to submit to a journal and get it published. No. But if you are a master or PhD students, then definitely the answer is a yes. You need to publish a paper. I'm sure for today's session, we do have students who are doing your undergraduate studies. You are first year students, second year in the university, the third year in your university. Then why are you here? I assume you are not just here to collect the certificate and just to punch the hours. Now, if you are here as an undergraduate students, what can be useful for you is, while you are doing your undergraduate studies, I'm sure you have to write something, whether you are doing engineering or other subjects. I'm sure you need to write something. It can be your assignment from the class. It can be your group discussions from your group of audience, a group of classmates. Let's say the 3 or 4 of you, or even the 2 of you work together on the same paper or on the same coursework, a requirement given by your lecturer. The 2 of you has to write something on certain topic. Let's say on optics, you need to do some searchings. So as well as you need to write some technical content. Now we are talking about technical content, which means something that is related to technology, engineering, computer science, information science, pretty much that has something to do with science, technology, engineering, or applied sciences. So in that case, you need to write a structured paper. It's not meant for you to submit for publication, but you need to write and share it either to your supervisor or to your classmates. If you need those kind of tasks, then today's session can be useful because I will be covering the general structure of a paper. What is required? What's the components? How do you prepare each component? So talking about preparation, let's focus to our graduate students, masters, PhDs. I'm sure you have a lot of students here who are doing masters or PhDs, right? So in here, what you have to do, or let's say you need to do much more than just what our undergraduate classmates or undergraduate friends are doing. As a master or PhD students, you are supposed to work on a research topic. And this is usually given by your professor, by your supervisor. And when you are working on the research topic, you need to do a lot of study by yourself. You need to refer to textbooks and more than textbooks. You need to refer to publications, journal papers, conference papers, magazine papers, online resources, library books, all sorts of references other than your textbook. So in that case, what kind of preparation we are talking about? We are talking about the research you are doing, not the paper you're going to write. Because in order for you to write the paper, you need to conduct and in fact complete the research. Then you have something to write about, isn't it? So in this case, the whole idea about preparing your research paper for publication is not about the paper. It's not about the publication. The key word here is the research. You need to have a solid, good quality content for you to write. This is very different from literature. You want to write a poem, you want to write a novel, you want to write a storybook. Well, you don't need to do any research. You just sit there and let your imagination do the work. But we are talking about scientific research, engineering, computer science. For all those subjects, sorry, imagination doesn't work like a magic. What you need is solid work. So in order for you to prepare your research, what you need to do first, number one, research direction. Are you going to research on electrical engineering or computer science? If you are doing computer science, are you doing artificial intelligence or are you doing algorithm design? Research direction, number one. Research. Question number two, research problem. What exactly is the problem you are going to solve? And in order for you to find the research problem, you need to do a lot of background study. This is like, imagine you are a soldier being deployed on the battlefield. You have no idea where you want to go. You know your ultimate goal, but at the moment, you have no direction. You have no idea what is out there. Is there a river or mountain in front of you? Is there a forest next to your left or right? You have no idea. So what you need to do is you need to do your own survey. In this case, literature review, which means you need to do a lot of searching, find what has been done, what is currently available. You find out what is currently available, then you ask yourself or discuss with your supervisor, all right, I know what is currently available, but how about for myself, for my research, what do I want to do? Which direction do I want to go or move? What specific research topic or problem do I want to work on? That is the things you need to find out by conducting a literature review. Along the way, you need to take note. You need to keep track, gather references and citations, and more importantly, remember, imagination doesn't work for scientific research. You need your pen and paper. Or if you are the digital nomad, for me, it's old-fashioned. I still prefer pen and paper. But if you prefer digital, also can. You need to type out your outline of research. Don't say, hey, Alex, I don't need it. I have a very good memory. I put everything in my brain, in my mind. I don't need to write it out. Well, I should have warned you. You can remember it for now, but can you remember everything after 4 months, 6 months, 2 years? Can you still remember your original idea 2 years ago? For me, I can't. So I write it out, I draft an outline. And why this outline is important? That is because this outline will serve as the skeleton of your final paper. In your outline, I'm sure you write out what research topic you are working on. You also write out your initial ideas, how you want to solve the problem. Do you want to solve it by designing a new experiment? Do you want to solve it by designing a new algorithm? Those are your initial ideas. Now, along the research, your initial ideas might have changed. It is okay. If it's changed, update your outline, update your logbook. And with all that, by the end of the whole thing, what you will have is an updated outline, then you can start preparing. So some of us will be wondering, how do I do a literature review? Well, you need tools, you need database. IEEE Xplore, if you are doing engineering technical research, IEEE Xplore is the digital library you need to use. And if you do not know how to use it, please watch the previous recordings from Mr. Rashid. He has explained how you can access the platform, how you can use the platform, how you can do the searches. The other database that might be relevant, but IEEE Xplore is the most useful one. And before you write anything, always remember it's the same as you are firing arrow, right? You have an arrow, you want to get your aim, get your target. You need to find your target first. What do I mean by that? You need to select one target publication. For example, I'm doing on Internet of Things. Well, today IEEE has an Internet of Things journal. I will submit to that. So that can be my aim. What you can do is look at the publications cited in your references. Remember, this is your literature review. Ask your supervisors for recommendations and read the aim and scope of the journal. We have a tool called IEEE Publication Recommender. They will recommend you what are the journals that suits your need. Again, I will cover more details on this portion on the paper submission session later. What are the possible options? You can publish either as a conference or as a journal. Conference are preliminary finding. Journals are fully developed finding, which means final answer. Both are peer-reviewed and checked for plagiarism before publication. If you want to publish in open access, we also have the option for you for journals as well. that if you are looking for conferences, because of the COVID-19 situation, some of the conferences may have different requirements or guidelines of paper submissions or attending the conference. So check out the conference website. Which one should you submit? The choice is yours. We have both. IEEE journals, very high quality, high citation, but it also means high percentage of rejection. We have conferences, they are very well organized as well, recognized. And the challenge is you have to attend the conference. You have to attend the conference yourself and present the paper. If you do not do that, your paper will not be published by IEEE in IEEE Xplore, which means your author cannot find it. So that's the challenge for conferences. IEEE has both. We have over 200 journals. We have over 1,600 conferences. The choice is yours. So what you need to do is decide whether you want to write for a journal paper, for a conference paper, then you can start writing. The general components of an article, obviously it has to have a title. It needs an abstract, which describes the research, what you are doing. It has to start with an introduction, explain the goals, the methods, and the results will be covered in details. How did you do it? What did you do? What did you get? Discussion and conclusion, which means what do you find from your results? What does the results lead to? Any suggestions, any recommendation in terms of future areas of research or studies? And of course, the paper always has a reference. Let's look at the abstract. The abstract is a concise summary of the research done. And it includes the research conducted, the results you get, and what kind of conclusions have been made. It is a standalone version. Now you can consider the abstract like a summary of your paper. So your paper is a summary of your research. Then the abstract is a summary of your paper. Generally, the abstract is 250 words or less. You can use keywords or index terms in the abstracts, followed by the introduction. In the introduction portion, we have a description of the problem that you have researched on. You should move step by step by covering at least these 4 components. You start with explaining to your readers. Remember, your paper are for your readers. Explain to your readers what are the generally known information about the topic. Remember, where you get this piece of information is from your literature review, right? You study about what has been done. And you also explain prior historical context, what research has been done, what results has gotten. Then you bring your readers to your paper. What is your hypothesis? What is the overview of the results? How the papers are organized? And with that, you move on to the methods. The methods are the portion where you explain to your reader how the problem is formulated and what process has been used to solve the problem. Does it prove or disapprove the hypothesis? How does it prove or disapprove? And imagine this is like a recipe for you to cook. I'm sure a lot of us, especially ladies, right? At home, you will cook. When you are learning cooking from your mom or your dad, do they follow a recipe? I doubt so, because my mom and my dad, they don't follow recipe. They just tell you, hey, Alex, you put the tomato in, then you put 2 eggs, add water. They will just verbally tell you. But there is a procedure. Which one goes in first, right? Does the tomato goes in first? Does the egg goes in first? So this kind of procedure-wise, it is very important for your readers to understand how exactly you solve the problem. Because if he doesn't know which one goes in first, he will not be able to repeat what you have done and cook a good dish. So in order for you to explain in clarification to your readers how to solve the problem, you can use illustrations, tables, diagrams, charts. Pretend you are making something, you are cooking a dish. Follow the procedures. Use illustrations, diagrams, charts, figures to explain your readers what has been done, how to do it. After the methods, it comes to the results portion. Now, I'm sure whether you are doing experiments or you are doing simulations, you need to have some results. This can be data or figures you find out or you gather from the devices or the equipment from your laboratory. It can also be figures, diagrams, data you collected after running your simulation software. So for example, you are doing a signal processing simulation using MATLAB, right? The software will generate, it will run your algorithm depending on the input or the parameters you have set for the simulation. It will run it, and you can, along the way, I'm sure your simulation runs a few rounds, right? And you change the different values, the different parameters, the different input, you will be getting the different output. So for this kind of data, along the way you have collected, maybe you save it as an Excel file or a CSV file in your hard drive. Maybe you save it as taking down the numbers on paper. What you need to do now is consolidate all this and put it into your paper. Now the question is how. For example, I have 30 numbers from my experiments, 30 values. How do I do it? Do I put in a table with 30 numbers? If you ever read any IEEE publications, you will seldom see that they will put more than 10 or 20 numbers in a simple table. No. What the authors will normally do is they will consolidate either as a figure or as a chart. Or even if it's a table, they will try to arrange the table or summarize the data in your table in such a way that the readers can spot a trend rather than the raw numbers. Because 30 numbers doesn't tell you anything, but 30 dots in an exponential curve in a diagram will tell you there's a trend, or even it may correlate to a proper function or expression that can be expressed by using mathematical equations. So in that case, the mathematical equation or even the chart itself is much more convincing, much more demonstrative comparing to the 30 numbers. And that is what we are looking for in results section. Not just raw numbers, but also what does it tell. But of course, you don't need to explain everything in the table, right? In the results section, what you normally will do is the discussion section will follow closely with the results, and in that section you can discuss what the data means. So to summarize, the data has to be summarized. It has to be clear and concise. Do not just dump a lot of raw data in, and instead you should use figures or tables to illustrate the findings. Discussions and conclusions follows after the results. The purpose for the discussion is to explain or expand what your data means to your readers. So you explain why your research offers a new solution, the implication of the results. Remember, the numbers doesn't tell a story. Your explanations will tell the readers what does the value means. Summarize what the research has achieved, and this is obviously for the conclusion section. If we include a summary of the main findings, You should also discuss the benefit and shortcomings and even suggest future areas of research. And this is, again, for your readers, because what your readers need is, why should I read your paper? Why is your paper useful? How useful is it? So you need to explain to your readers, yes, I have found something, and why my findings is important or useful, or how useful my findings can be. Now, the next 2 slides, I'm going to repeat it again when we're talking about the paper submissions later, but now I'm decided to include it because we can use this as a reference for us when we are preparing the paper. So these are some of the things that editors and reviewers will be looking for. So for example, now the scope, I don't have to worry about the scope now, but I need to think about the validity. Is this study well designed and executed? Now, imagine you are the author. When you are writing the paper, shouldn't you ask the same question? You should self-evaluate your paper. Ask yourself question, is my study well designed and executed? If your answer is yes, I have another question. Well, you said your study is well designed and executed. Did you describe it clearly in your paper so that your reader will understand that your study is well designed? Remember, you are not writing for you. You don't need your paper to know what you have done, right? You are writing for your readers. So the same questions are the questions your reviewers will be asking. It's the same questions your readers will be asking when they are reading your paper. Data. Are the data reported, analyzed, and interpreted correctly? Remember, I spent quite some time talking about reporting the results. So did you report your data correctly? Did you analyze your data? For the 30 numbers, did you put it in a big table, or did you put in a diagram, or try to put it in maybe a function or chart to explain a trend? And did you explain the trend, which means interpret, again, to your readers, not for you, for your readers. Clarity. Are the ideas expressed clearly, concisely, and logically? Now, by logically, we are talking about the whole paper. From your introduction on the hypothesis, the current research, to your explanation on your research methods, to the way that you report the results, to your explanations and discussions of the results. So this whole process, your whole paper, are they expressed clearly, concisely, and logically? Compliance, you don't have to worry about this now. Advancement, is this a significant contribution to the field? Now, this goes back to your original question. Always remember, it is not about your paper, it is about your research direction, your research topic. So the research topic you are working on, is it a significant contribution to the current research? Is it a big advancement, a big improvement? Novelty, is this original research? Is this from you? Is this original or something that you just copy paste from somewhere else? So these are some of the things you should actually consider while you are preparing your paper. In fact, as I was explaining just now, these are the things you should consider while you started your research. For example, the advancement, is this a significant contribution? The novelty, am I doing original research, or am I just repeating what other people has been done, right? So again, I think I'm repeating for the 4th time or the 5th times or even more. It is not just about the paper. It always goes back to your research. Some other things. Sometimes the paper are rejected. Number 1, not a good fit. All right, I don't have to worry about this because we're not talking about submission yet. But the second one, the serious scientific flaws, inconclusive results, or incorrect interpretation. Your results, your data are not conclusive. The explanations, the discussions are not correct. Fraudulent research, this is even worse. You are making up the research data. It's not even real, right? So this is something you need to consider. In fact, you need to avoid when you are writing a paper. Next one, it is poorly written. Unfortunately, for us whose English is not the first language, this can be an issue. And I'm sure your next question is, how can I improve your English? Unfortunately, I'm not an English teacher. The best advice I can give you is to consult your English teacher from your universities. I'm sure they organize programs to improve your English. It does not address a big enough problem or advance the scientific field. It's the same as this one. Is this a significant contribution? As you can see, all of these goes back to the research. The work has been previously published. Again, it goes back to the research. The quality is not good enough for the journal. Again, it goes back to the research. Does not make a strong enough case to convince reviewers. In that case, it can be about the content. It can be about the way of writing it. And the last one, poor structure and presentation, is connected to poorly written paper. Again, might have something to do with your language skills, might have something to do with your writing skills. All right. Once again, I'm talking about from a later editor reviewer's perspective, some of the things they are considering. And of course, for us as authors, we need to think about all of these while we are writing the paper in the first place. The next few slides are just for information. I will reiterate this in the later stage. The reason why I put it here is because that some of the things you need to avoid while you are writing. Plagiarism, I'm sure you know what this is copying other person's work, word for word, or paraphrasing without proper citation. So I learned some information from another researcher. I'll just copy and paste in my paper and claim that, hey, you know, I did it. This is like stealing, isn't it? You walk into a shop, you grab a bottle of water, you just walk out and you tell everybody else, you know, the water is mine. It's not from the shop. So this is pure stealing, isn't it? Please don't do that. What is not yours, please don't say it's yours. So some of us might be saying, hey, I need to refer to other people's research. Yes, you can do that. So what you need to do is you need to provide proper citation. That is what this author attribution is about. If you use other authors' ideas in the article, you need to tell your readers, you need to provide citation. Say, this idea is from maybe John's paper published in the year 2019. You know, that's an attribution, right? So those are the two I would like to highlight. Avoid plagiarism. Please provide citation. Some of you will be asking how much. Well, we don't have a specific percentage. It depends on the journal, but I'm sure you know how much you have copied from others. So this question of how much is not for the journals or for the reviewers, for yourself. You are the one writing out everything. You know how much is not yours. Familiarize yourself with IEEE policies. For more information, you can find a hyperlink in this website. And this website, I'll be also discussing in the paper submission process. We'll be using this website for some references as well. So that is pretty much the core content for today's session. We focused on preparing your paper for manuscript. So for today, I will be only answering questions on those. All right. If you have further questions about paper submission, peer review, we will talk about it in the next session.
Alex, there are a few questions waiting for your attention.
Thank you. Let me go through them. I think I will go by the timeline. One of the biggest problems associated with literature review is most of the IEEE papers are not necessarily free. It results in a very costly literature review. Well, the answer is yes and no. yes, it is. Some of the papers are not free, but the no part is, have you checked with your library? Have you checked whether your library has subscribed to IEEE Xplore? If your library has subscribed to IEEE Xplore, then this question does not stand, because as a student or as a researcher from that particular university, you can have the access to IEEE Xplore. So what I recommend you to do is please check with your university library to see whether your university subscribes to IEEE Xplore. What is authentic resources for publications for literature review? This is a very good question. Some of you might be saying, hey, I will just do it on Google. Well, I can't say no, but do you know in Google that, personal websites, news website, blogs, chat rooms, all sorts of information, right? So for technical research, scientific research, we will recommend you to use academic database such as IEEE Xplore. I think tables are more related with graph instead of figures, as figures are symbolic. It depends on the situation. It's not that definitive statement. The next question, why is there no discussion tab available between editor and author? Consider the word. I think this, again, is a question regarding the peer review, so I'm not going to answer that question now. Yearly, the research journal are published quarterly, half-yearly, and yearly. It's rarely been observed in a journal public. Oh. Okay, I think this is just a statement. Again, how much time a journal takes to publish the research? Again, this is not a question for today. What is the difference between plagiarism and similarity? Very good question. Number one, you need to define what is similarity. So I'm sure you know when I'm writing the paper, some people say, hey, this is a plagiarism. Some people say, no, this is not. This is just similar. Now, similarity can be talking about sentences. So for example, I would say, I'll just use a plain English example, right? So let's say I asked my friend John, what did you have for dinner? And John's reply is, I had bread for dinner. This is answer number one. Answer number two is John is saying, bread is my dinner. So answer number one is, I had bread for my dinner. Answer number two is, bread is my dinner. So for these two answers, do you call it plagiarism or similarity? Well, if you ask me, this is similarity, right? So, they are similar. And in fact, they're the same. But if you are putting these two sentences for plagiarism testing, they will say, hey, there might be a plagiarism. Why? Because quite a number of words or the whole meaning of the two sentences are the same. They are all talking about a food, which is bread. They are all talking about a meal, which is dinner. And these two words apparently are closely related. So what I'll recommend you to do is, at the time of writing, you don't have to worry about what is plagiarism, what is similarity, what is a percentage. No. All you need to do is ask yourself, is this from me? Is this done by me? Now, if the research is done by me, I don't have to worry. If the research is something I quoted from somewhere else, then you need to provide a proper citation. That's it. You don't have to worry about whether it's plagiarized or not, because you did not, isn't it? A lot of us are scared by this plagiarism. So my answer to that is, why are you scared? Are you doing plagiarism? If you are not, why do you have to worry? The next one. Is there is there journals or articles related to natural science in IEEE website? Now, I think this is a very good time for me to share with you something about how to ask a question. No doubt, this is a very good question, but did you realize this question is way too general? What is natural science? Geography? Mathematics? Physics? Chemistry? Biology? Bioinformatics? Medical sciences? Surgery? Pharmacy? So natural sciences can be a wide topic. So my answer to your question, I don't think you are doing natural science. That's a joke, but that's true. Do we have any researcher who is studying computer science, medicine, psychology, mathematics, statistics, chemistry at the same time? I doubt so, right? We're only studying one subject. So what you need to do is go to IEEE Xplore website, use a keyword that is related to your subjects. Then you do a search. Let's say I'm doing optics, which is physics, right? I will just search for optics. And furthermore, I'm not talking about for optics. Optics itself is a huge topic. None of us is studying optics. None of us dare to say, hey, I study optics. Are you sure? Do you understand everything about optics? No, you are studying a specialized direction or sub-direction within optics. For example, optics distortion. So what I will do is in IEEE Xplore, I will search optics distortion. Then I will find out publications that are related to your research topic. All right, trying to ask a specific topic. There are questions about how to write the best peer review, how to write the best paper. There is no way I have answer for that. All right, I'm not going to answer all the questions. I'll just quickly go through what is more useful. Can we publish paper on conferences by presenting online? Please talk to your conference organizer. Different conference organizer has different requirement. Reference style or IEEE is, we do have a IEEE reference style. It's called IEEE reference style. Yeah. How many previous research paper or journal should a person go through before writing a literature review? Well, you should have the answer. Some people, after they have read 2 papers, they are confident enough to write a literature review. Nobody is going to stop you on that. But while you are writing, or after you finish writing, how is your literature review? Is it good? If not good, what should you do? You should write more, you should read more, isn't it? So the answer is not how many. The answer is how many do you want to read? This is like, how can I get 100? How many past year exam papers should I practice if I want to get 100% in my final exam? The teacher doesn't have the answer. The student yourself has the answer, right? All right, I believe I have answered most of the questions. And thank you so much for asking those questions. They are very good questions. And I'm not sure whether you realize it. For a lot of your questions, the answer lies within your question.
Okay, thank you very much, Alex. Here, I would like to remind you about one question which was remained unanswered in our previous session. And I promise you I will remind this question to you in the next session. And today I am going to ask it from you. The question was, is there a discount on submission fee for students under developing nations?
Thank you so much, Mr. Rashid. And we have to thank you for the attend the participants from the previous sessions who asked this question. And I think I'm going to break my promises. Remember, I was talking about I'm not going to answer the questions which are not related to
No,
preparing
this was the
manuscript.
one.
So I'm going
But
to
this was the
break
one we
my.
received through email. But this was the one we received through email. Okay.
Okay, Mr. Rashid, I'm
and we
saying
promised them.
I'm
And we
going to
promised
break
them.
my promises. Hello?
Yes, please. You may
Can I
continue. Then.
continue?
Yes, please.
Yes. As I was joking to our participants in the beginning, I was saying, you know, I'm not going to address questions which are not related to today's topic. But in the end, I need to break my promises because we promised the previous attendees that we are going to address the question in today's session. So the question is, for authors, when you submit the paper, generally the paper submission is free. And of course, I will cover in more details in the next session. Now, but if you want to publish in open access, there is an article processing charges. It is only for open access paper. If you do not know what open access is, you don't have to worry. You can go back and search Google for a better definition of what is open access. And if you do not know what open access is, most likely this question is not relevant to you as well. So you don't have to worry about what I'm going to say next. But if you are concerned about the article processing charge for open access articles, then what I'm going to explain to you is useful. Now, I need to make this very clear because the moment I answer this question, there will be a lot of people asking, so what is open access? How do I publish open access? So don't worry, those will be addressed in the next session. All right. Now, coming back to the question. So the attendee apparently, he or she might be a researcher. So he or she is asking, the article processing charge for open access journals can be quite high. But how about I'm coming from, for example, from Pakistan, which is it's not a developed country. So is there any discount in terms of the open access charges? So this is what I'm going to show you. You can come to this website to find the information. It's called IEEE Author Center. Again, this is something which I will be sharing in the next session, right? So you can search for discount. As you can see, the first article, it says open access rights management. Click on it. You will be brought to this website, which explains to you what kind of open access rights management is, article processing charges, blah, blah, blah. And the last part is for your information. They have the hyperlinks for you to explain, to read, right? So all you need to do, 2 steps. Number 1, search for a website. You go to Google, search for a website called IEEE Author Center. This is step number 1. You come to this website. Step number 2, search for discount. That's it. The first one is the website, and this part is for you to read. I'm not going to read all the details again. If you can find this website, congratulations, you know what to do. If you can't find this website, or if you do not know what open access is, all you need to do is forget about my explanation because this question is not relevant to you at this moment. All right, I hope I answered that question. I'm not sure whether that particular participant is attending today's sharing. If you are here and if my answer is or has answered your question, maybe you can comment on this. If not, maybe you are attending, then in that case, I just hope this is case closed. All right, thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Alex. So we don't know whether that participant is today available in our session or not, but we are making our promises, right? Okay. So at the end, I would like to thank Mr. Alex, all the panelists and all the attendees for sparing time for this session out of their busy schedules. Please note that the recording link of this session will be sent to all of the attendees, in fact, all of the registrants within 2 to 3 days. and the certificates will be sent to all of the attendees within 7 to 10 days. Please note that the certificates will be generated according to the name you had entered at the time of registration. Our next session will be on 26th of October, and its topic will be IEEE Xplore Digital Library. See you all there. Stay safe, stay blessed. Once again, thank you very much, Mr. Alex. And thank you, everyone. Stay safe, stay blessed. Goodbye and Allah Hafiz.
Thank you. Goodbye.